Everything you have ever been told about losing fat is a lie, not a partial truth, not a misunderstanding, a deliberate, profitable lie. And the people selling you the next miracle solution already know it. You have tried the diets, you have counted the calories, you have done the cardio, and yet the fat remains. What if the problem was never your discipline? What if the entire system was built to make sure you fail? Every year, hundreds of billions of dollars are spent globally on weight loss products, programs, supplements, and surgeries. And every year, the majority of people who try to lose fat fail. Not because they are lazy, not because they lack willpower, but because the information they are given is either incomplete, distorted, or engineered to keep them dependent. This is a documentary about what fat actually is, how it behaves inside the human body, and what the science genuinely says about how to lose it. Not the version sold to you in 30-second advertisements, the real version. To understand fat loss, you must first understand fat itself. Fat tissue, known scientifically as adipose tissue, is not simply stored excess. It is a living, metabolically active organ. It produces hormones. It communicates with the brain. It regulates hunger, inflammation, reproduction, and immune response. The body does not store fat carelessly. It stores fat deliberately as an ancient survival mechanism encoded over millions of years of evolution. When your ancestors faced famine, the ones who stored energy efficiently were the ones who survived. You are their descendant. Your body was built for scarcity. It was not built for a world where food is available at every corner at every hour of the day. This is the foundational tension at the heart of the modern fat loss crisis. Now, let us examine what fat loss actually requires at a biological level. Fat tissue, known scientifically as adipose tissue, is stored in cells called adipocytes. Inside those cells, fat exists primarily in the form of triglycerides, which are molecules made up of a glycerol backbone attached to 3 fatty acid chains. For fat to be used as energy, those triglycerides must be broken down through a process called lipolysis. The fatty acids are then released into the bloodstream and transported to tissues like muscle and the liver, where they are oxidized to produce ATP, which is the energy currency of the cell. This process is regulated primarily by 2 hormones, insulin and glucagon. Insulin signals storage. When insulin is elevated, the body is in a fed state and fat breakdown is suppressed. Glucagon, along with adrenaline and cortisol, signals mobilization. When insulin falls and glucagon rises, the body begins releasing stored fat. This is why the conversation about fat loss cannot be separated from the conversation about hormones. Calories matter, but calories do not exist in a vacuum. The hormonal environment created by what you eat, when you eat, how you sleep, and how much stress you carry determines how your body responds to those calories. The calorie deficit model, the idea that fat loss is simply a matter of eating less than you burn, is not wrong, but it is dangerously incomplete. It treats the human body as a simple machine. The human body is not a simple machine. It is a dynamic, adaptive biological system, and it fights back. When you reduce your calorie intake significantly, the body does not simply burn through its fat reserves and cooperate. It adapts. Metabolic rate decreases, thyroid output drops, hunger hormones like ghrelin surge, satiety hormones like leptin fall. The body becomes more efficient at extracting energy from whatever food it receives. This is called metabolic adaptation, and it is one of the primary reasons why aggressive dieting almost always fails in the long term. Research consistently shows that the majority of people who lose weight through severe caloric restriction regain it within 3 to 5 years, and many regain more than they lost. The body, once threatened with starvation, takes extraordinary measures to prevent it from happening again. So, what does the science actually recommend? The evidence points towards several principles that consistently outperform the crash diet approach. The first is sustainable caloric modesty rather than severe restriction. A modest deficit, typically between 300 and 500 calories below maintenance, is enough to drive fat loss without triggering aggressive metabolic compensation. Slower progress is more durable progress. The second is protein. Of all the macronutrients, protein has the highest thermic effect, meaning more of its calories are burned during digestion. It also preserves lean muscle mass during a calorie deficit, which is critical because muscle tissue drives metabolic rate. Losing muscle while losing fat is a metabolic disaster. It reduces the number of calories the body burns at rest, making future fat loss harder and future fat regain easier. The third is resistance training. Decades of research confirm that building and maintaining muscle through resistance exercise is one of the most powerful long-term strategies for body composition change. Cardio burns calories in the moment. Muscle burns calories permanently, around the clock, even while you sleep. The fourth is sleep. This is where the modern world fails most catastrophically. Sleep deprivation elevates cortisol, suppresses testosterone and growth hormone, increases ghrelin, and reduces leptin. A single week of inadequate sleep measurably alters insulin sensitivity and fat storage patterns. You cannot out-diet poor sleep. The research is unambiguous on this point. The fifth is stress management. Chronic psychological stress maintains chronically elevated cortisol. Cortisol promotes visceral fat storage, the deep abdominal fat that surrounds internal organs and is associated with cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and metabolic dysfunction. The most dedicated dietary effort will be undermined by a nervous system that is perpetually in crisis mode.
Now, let us address the supplements. The global weight loss supplement industry is worth hundreds of billions of dollars and is almost entirely built on scientifically unsubstantiated claims. Fat burners, metabolism boosters, detox teas, waist trainers, carb blockers. The evidence base for virtually all of these products ranges from weak to non-existent. In many cases, the products are outright harmful. Some contain stimulants that elevate heart rate and blood pressure. Others interfere with hormonal function. The only entities getting leaner from most fat loss supplements are the companies manufacturing them. There are a small number of compounds with modest scientific support. Caffeine has a measurable, though small, thermogenic effect. Creatine supports muscle retention during a deficit. But none of these are magic. They are marginal. They work at the edges. The fundamentals do the work. What about the popular dietary frameworks? Keto, intermittent fasting, low-fat, plant-based. The science suggests that no single dietary pattern is universally superior for fat loss. What matters most is whether the approach creates a sustainable caloric deficit, whether it is rich in protein and whole foods, and most critically, whether the individual can maintain it long-term. The best diet is the one you can actually follow without destroying your relationship with food, your social life, or your mental health. There's also a dimension of fat loss that rarely gets discussed in mainstream health culture, and that is the psychological and emotional architecture underneath it. Eating is not purely biological. It is deeply cultural, emotional, habitual, and in many cases, it is a coping mechanism for stress, loneliness, trauma, and anxiety. For millions of people, food is not just fuel. It is comfort. It is identity. It is memory. Addressing the body without addressing the psychology underneath it is why so many people find themselves trapped in the same cycles decade after decade. The research on sustainable behavior change is clear. People who develop a genuine internal motivation for change, grounded in values and identity rather than shame or external pressure, are far more likely to sustain it. The person who changes their body because they want to feel capable, to be present, to live without pain, will consistently outperform the person who changes their body because they hate what they see in the mirror. Shame is not a reliable engine for transformation. Identity is. Fat loss is not a mystery. The biology is well understood. The principles are established. What makes it difficult is not a lack of information. What makes it difficult is that we live in an environment specifically engineered to work against us, an environment of hyper-palatable processed food, chronic sleep disruption, constant psychological stress, social sedentariness, and an industry with a profound financial interest in keeping us searching for answers we will never find in a capsule or a protocol. The truth about fat loss is this: it is slow, it is cumulative, it requires consistency over months and years, not days and weeks. It requires adequate protein, resistance training, sleep, stress regulation, and a caloric environment your body does not perceive as an existential threat. It requires understanding your own psychology and your relationship with food. And it requires the patience to trust a process that does not produce dramatic results overnight. This is not the message that sells supplements. It is not the message that fills the comment sections with hype, but it is the message that is true. And truth, as always, is more valuable than a solution that sounds easy. The human body took millions of years to develop. You will not outwit it in 30 days, but you can work with it. And when you do, the results are not just physical, they are permanent.